Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a four-time NFL MVP, a Super Bowl champion, a Mount Rushmore football player in the history of football, and now the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah! What if I told you that one of the NFL's most talented quarterbacks has left a trail of broken relationships, alienated teammates, and organizational chaos everywhere he's gone? From Green Bay to New York, Aaron Rodgers has built a reputation that goes far beyond his arm talent. Is he really the worst teammate in NFL history? Stick around, because what you're about to hear will blow your mind. What's up, football fans? Welcome back to the channel. And today, we're diving deep into one of the most polarizing figures in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers. Now, before the Packers fans start typing in the comments, hear me out. We're talking about a four-time MVP, a Super Bowl champion, and one of the most gifted quarterbacks to ever play the game. But here's the thing, talent doesn't always translate to being a good teammate. Over the past decade, stories have emerged from locker rooms, from former players, and from inside sources that paint a very different picture of Aaron Rodgers than what we see on Sunday afternoons. Today, we're breaking down the incidents, the patterns, and the evidence that suggests Aaron Rodgers might just be the most difficult teammate in professional sports. But first, let me ask you this. We've all had that teammate, right? The one who thinks they're above the team, who throws people under the bus, or who creates drama wherever they go. Drop a comment below and tell me about your worst teammate experience, whether it was in high school, college, or just playing pickup basketball. Because trust me, after today's video, you'll realize your worst teammate has nothing on what we're about to discuss. And if you're enjoying this content, smash that like button and subscribe for more NFL deep dives that you won't find anywhere else. Let's start with Greg Jennings, Rodgers' former teammate and one of his favorite targets during their time together in Green Bay. In 2019, Jennings dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves through the NFL community. He revealed that Rodgers would actually silence teammates in team meetings.
And said, let me talk to Aaron. Aaron saw me and completely avoided me.
Jennings said, you have a guy who is in a position to rally the troops, but instead, he's the one creating the divide. Think about that for a second. Your team leader, your quarterback, is creating division instead of unity. But it gets worse. Jennings also mentioned that Rodgers would give teammates the cold shoulder if they didn't run routes exactly the way he wanted them to. Imagine being a young receiver trying to learn and grow, and your quarterback just freezes you out because you made a mistake. That's not leadership. That's toxicity. Then there's Jermichael Finley, another former teammate who spilled the tea. Finley revealed that Rodgers would literally not talk to offensive players if they made mistakes. He described Rodgers as standoffish and said he would put up an invisible wall between himself and his teammates.
And you say and you make all the demands and you kind of fight for what it is you want. You better be ready to play. When you call out teammates, when you point the blame and it's not directed at yourself, you better ball out when the film is rolling, when the teams collide. You better not be the reason why we lost that game. And that's what Aaron Rodgers was.
Finley even went as far as to say that Rodgers made it clear he felt he was above certain players on the team. Can you imagine Tom Brady or Peyton Manning treating their teammates like that? These are Hall of Fame quarterbacks who understood that lifting up your teammates makes everyone better. But here's the kicker. Finley also revealed that Rodgers would publicly criticize teammates' routes during film sessions, embarrassing them in front of the entire team. That's not coaching, that's humiliation. Now let's talk about Jordan Love. When the Packers drafted Love in the first round in 2020, it was a clear signal that they were planning for the future. How did Rodgers, the veteran leader, handle mentoring his potential successor? Spoiler alert, he didn't. Multiple reports suggest that Rodgers was cold and distant with Love, refusing to help him develop or even acknowledge his presence. Compare this to how Brett Favre treated Rodgers when he was drafted. Favre was criticized for not mentoring Rodgers enough, but even Favre was more welcoming than Rodgers has been to Love. But here's what's really telling. When asked about mentoring Love, Rodgers basically said it wasn't his job. "I'm not going to be a coach," he said. "Really? You're the highest paid player on the team. You're supposed to be the leader, and you can't spare 5 minutes to help develop the future of your franchise?" Let's talk about Davante Adams, arguably Rodgers' best friend on the team and his go-to receiver. When Adams decided to leave Green Bay for Las Vegas, many people wondered why. Adams had the best statistical year of his career with Rodgers. They had incredible chemistry, and the Packers were willing to pay him. But here's what's interesting. Adams has been notably quiet about Rodgers since leaving. In interviews, he's been diplomatic but not enthusiastic when discussing their relationship. Multiple sources suggest that Adams grew tired of Rodgers' mood swings and demanding personality. Think about it. If your best friend at work, someone you've had incredible success with, decides to leave for less money and a worse team, what does that tell you about the work environment? And we can't forget the vaccination controversy. Rodgers misled his teammates, the organization, and the public about his vaccination status. He said he was immunized when he wasn't vaccinated, putting his teammates and their families at risk.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized.
But here's what's really damaging. When the truth came out, instead of apologizing to his teammates, Rodgers went on the media tour defending his decision and attacking the NFL's protocols. He threw the organization under the bus and made it about his personal beliefs rather than team unity. Multiple teammates reportedly felt betrayed by Rodgers' deception. When your quarterback lies to you about something that could affect your health and your family's health, how do you trust him with anything else? But wait, there's more. Let's talk about some of the most shocking moments that really showcase Rodgers' character as a teammate. First, there's the time he publicly called out his offensive line during a press conference, saying they needed to do their job. Imagine if your boss threw you under the bus in front of the entire company. That's exactly what Rodgers did. Then there's the infamous RELAX comments when he basically told Packers fans to calm down while simultaneously criticizing his receivers for not being good enough. He was protecting himself while throwing his teammates under the bus.
RELAX. Relax.
That was spur of the moment, but I was hoping my teammates would hear and the fans would hear that we need to relax.
And who could forget the 2021 season when Rodgers held the entire organization hostage with his trade demands?
And the fact that I haven't been used in those discussions was one I wanted to change moving forward.
He didn't show up to mandatory minicamp, skipped OTAs, and created a media circus that overshadowed the entire team's preparation. Here's what's really telling. Everywhere Rodgers goes, the same stories emerge. It's not just one or two disgruntled players, it's a pattern. Greg Jennings, Jermichael Finley, James Jones, who later defended him but initially had concerns, and now we're hearing similar rumblings from New York. The Jets locker room was reportedly divided on Rodgers even before he got injured. Some players were excited about his arrival, while others were skeptical based on his reputation. And after just 4 plays in a Jets uniform, he's already creating controversy with his comments about the organization and his expectations. Now I want to hear from you in the comments. Are you Team Rodgers, or do you think his teammates have valid complaints? Have you ever dealt with someone like this in your own life? Someone who's incredibly talented but toxic to work with? And here's a challenge for you Packers fans defending Rodgers. Can you name 3 current or former teammates who have publicly praised Rodgers' leadership skills? I'll wait. Drop your answers in the comments below, and let's have a real discussion about this. So here's the bottom line. Aaron Rodgers might be one of the most talented quarterbacks in NFL history. But talent without character is just wasted potential. We've seen a pattern of behavior that spans over a decade, multiple teammates, and now multiple organizations. The most damning evidence isn't just the individual incidents, it's the pattern. When Greg Jennings speaks out, you could say it's just one player. When Jermichael Finley corroborates it, you start to wonder. When James Jones hints at it, when Jordan Love gets the cold shoulder, when Devontae Adams leaves, when the vaccination controversy happens, at what point do we stop making excuses and start acknowledging the truth? The greatest quarterbacks in history, Brady, Manning, Montana, they made their teammates better. They created cultures of excellence through leadership and respect. Rodgers, he creates division, drama, and dysfunction. And that, my friends, is why Aaron Rodgers might just be the worst teammate in NFL history. Look, I get it, this is controversial. Rodgers has incredible talent and he's accomplished amazing things on the field. But football is the ultimate team sport, and being a great teammate is just as important as being a great player. The evidence is overwhelming, the pattern is undeniable, and until we see a significant change in behavior, Aaron Rodgers will continue to be remembered not just for his incredible arm talent, but for being one of the most difficult teammates in professional sports history. What do you think? Did I miss any major incidents? Do you have insider knowledge about Rodgers' teammate relationships? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Aaron Rodgers' controversial career, smash that like button and subscribe for more NFL content that goes beyond the highlight reels. We're breaking down the real stories behind your favorite players and teams. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.